listening to the Floyd Main Street Podcast. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm your host, Lucas Graham, back for another edition of this week's Floyd Main Street Podcast. Joining me today, Mr. Eric Branscombe. Eric, how's it going?
Lucas, how's it going, man?
We're doing all right today. Also joining us today, Mr. Chad Harris. Chad, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well.
You know, I find myself sometimes saying the same phrase all the time, which is usually followed up with, we got a lot to unpack today, but it is a little bit of a slow news
We don't
week.
have a lot to unpack today.
Sometimes Floyd is the Mayberry that people think that it is. But we do have some stuff that we can talk about, lots of events and things, but as far as breaking headlines,
There's not a whole lot of news.
but we'll keep it with what news we do have, Eric. I saw the county has officially posted for a couple new positions. I shouldn't say new positions, but open positions.
A couple of positions that are open. I don't know if they're new or not. Doesn't really say. One is budget and finance assistant, and the other is a grants and compliance specialist. Both of these were posted on September 30th. They are listed in both the news and the careers section of the Floyd County website, and they're listed as open until filled. So imagine they might actually be looking for somebody. We got a couple of spaces that are out there. It's not clear whether these are people that are moving up or people that are being replaced or new positions.
I think the one was for a full-time grant writer. I believe that's a new position.
That may be a new position. Chad's been with the county long enough to remember back when you just had Terry Morris and Cindy Ryan and I think one reception up front, and that was pretty much your county administration.
Yeah.
You know, Mark Bolt would handle a few things, and I know that Kevin Sowers was around, running around, trying to keep a lid on everything, but that was pretty much it. That was county administration, and it looks, just from the outsider's viewpoint, it looks like it's probably more than doubled in size.
Yeah, they've definitely increased staff, and I don't know anything about that position. I haven't even read or saw that they were hiring, but if it's a grant writing position, then I don't know what the salary is and all that. It seems like that'd be a good thing, because if we can find somebody that can bring some grants in for the county.
The grants is listed as starting salary of $45. The salary isn't listed for the budget and finance assistant.
And that doesn't seem like a lot of money for someone who's going to be in that profession of grant writing.
Well, grant writing is one of those things I've noted in local government that is in high demand, because you have not just from the federal government and the state government, but a lot of private organizations, foundations that provide grants, and you need to be able to write and present them and be knowledgeable about them, because there's tons of stuff out there. It's not easily accessible. And once you get the grant, then you have to administer it. And that takes a whole other set of skills right there.
I guess that's where I'm kind of taken back with it is, you know, we've got a guy that works at our office that writes grants, Michael Clemens, and he's very good at it. And he's also very intelligent. And, you know, you would think at that intelligence
He
level...
married well. That's the
Well,
thing
he
about
did
Michael.
that too.
He married well.
Yeah. But you would think that with that intelligence, that would come with a little higher salary than $45,000. So that's just where I was at with it.
I mean, that's a position that could be very critical for the county. We've talked about it many times about the infrastructure issues that are facing the county, especially in the near future. And so if you have a full-time position, that's all they're meant to do, is to find grants that can be money that our county can spend that we don't have to spend out of pocket. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it. Maybe I'm not, but it seems like that would be a good thing.
It's a little bit of both, because the administration of them is more than half the battle. I've done some grant writing before I came to the county, and the trick is finding the right things that will fit with the county, and then it's administering it and providing all the paperwork, because there's getting the grant and then there's finding all the paperwork that you have to do to follow up with every grant.
That was going to be my next question for anybody that may not know what that exactly entails and how that can be a full-time position, because there's a lot more goes into it than probably what you would think at face value.
You have to dig up information. It depends on what the grant's for. You're going to have to dig into whatever kind of financial information you need, demographic information it's going to be providing, and then finding what grants will fit with the information that you have.
Yeah, and these places that are giving this money out, they actually want to see that you have spent that money where you had said you were going to spend it.
Yeah.
So they're going to audit you on where this money was spent. There's a lot to it.
Yeah, they're not just handing it out and then just walking away. They want every penny to be accountable, and so there's a lot of work that goes into it. It can be a good source for funding for counties, other local government organizations, charities, and so forth. But it's a lot of work involved in that.
There you go. Well, if you're looking for that opportunity, there's your chance. Again, I'm not knocking the dollar amount. I mean, I know that's a decent starting salary for a position in Floyd County. I was surprised that it didn't pay a little more, but maybe somebody gets in here, justifies their job, and can move up.
if you're able to save the county tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, then I would say that would probably warrant a raise, given the amount of money you've saved the county. So let's hope that the county finds the right person for that position, because that definitely seems like an important position. Well, both of them do.
As anybody that's worked in the Floyd County government knows, that the budget and finance assistant, trying to keep all the finances straight for the county, is a full-time job in and of itself. There are a lot of mistakes that have to be corrected. There are things to keep up with. There's always something to juggle. And if it gets messed up, you have plenty of people that tell you about exactly where you went wrong.
That's right. Shifting gears, I think that this would be newsworthy because it's one of the premier annual events of the county. The craft show.
The craft fair. 100-plus vendors at the high school.
Did anybody go up there and check it out?
Yeah, we're recording this on a Saturday afternoon, and the roads are packed. If you've had to drive through town, you have seen what's happened. We've got the shuttle bus running from the courthouse parking lot. I wouldn't even guess what's going on as far as trying to find parking over at the high school.
For me, when I think arts and crafts, I have a limited idea in my head of what it could be, but there's a lot of different vendors selling a lot of different things. I'll give you an example. One, our sheriff is up there selling honey. He has a honey business. I wouldn't necessarily, at first thought, think that that would be part of an arts and crafts festival. I'm thinking hand little trinkets and things that were wreaths for doors.
Are you saying you don't like the honey? Is that what you're saying?
I believe that's what I heard.
That's what I heard. I heard him say he didn't like the honey.
I know he listens to this, and I want him to know that I appreciate his honey, especially when I'm roasting carrots on a Saturday night to go with my steak.
There you go. There's something for everybody, I think, is what you're getting at.
It's a lot of fun. It's just a beehive of activity if we're going to continue our honey metaphor.
Pun intended.
There's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, we've got Teresa McKenzie from my office, does the Victim Witness Corners. They have a booth set up there for domestic violence awareness because it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
I'm glad you said that because Captain Akers is up there with a domestic violence.
Well, they might be at the same one or adjacent to each other. Or something.
That's true.
Like
they probably work together on it probably is the
Well, I
same
know they
thing.
work together on a lot of things. That's true.
Something for everybody up there, and it's a great event to go get out and walk around.
Kettle corn, get some funnel cakes.
Kettle corn. I go for that every year.
I'm more of a funnel cake man than kettle corn.
The kettle corn does it for me, especially when they're making it fresh right there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they bag it and you take it home. You can't quite replicate that kind of kettle corn.
There's something to me, too, that this festival brings out fall. It's like this is the kickoff to fall is the craft fair.
Now that the Arts and Crafts Festival is here, it's fall.
That's right. Time to put out your pumpkins.
Yeah, break out the crock pots.
You have to put the pumpkin spice everything.
And if my wife is listening to this podcast, we need to keep it fall. We cannot pull the Christmas decorations out just yet.
Oh, man, you got to get through Thanksgiving first. Come on.
That's a little old-fashioned.
Are you listening,
The Thanksgiving thing, that was up to about 10, maybe 15 years ago. But now it's like October 15th. From then on, it's Christmas.
I legitimately ask her this question because I agree with you. We got to be thankful about something before we start celebrating
I
Christmas.
agree, yeah.
And her answer was simple, but I respect it. And she's like, yeah, but you spend all this time decorating and getting everything set up. Who wants to do it for just a couple of weeks? I can't argue that, but we should still wait till
I agree. And you know, and I love Christmas. I mean, I love the holiday spirit and everything about Christmas. It's wonderful, but we'll celebrate it December 1st or November 26th or whenever.
You go by Dollar General. So the day after Halloween, it's Christmas.
You ain't kidding.
Once you finish up your Halloween candy, you go into Christmas candy. Boom, right there.
My wife sent me to Dollar General to buy fall decor for the house. This was no more than 3 weeks ago. I go in expecting to find a bunch of fall things.
She's got a lot of faith in you, doesn't she? Send you out shopping for decorations.
Has she ever met you?
It's more about lack of time. She's out making money while I'm recording a podcast.
Gotcha.
I go in. This was weeks ago. There's no fall decor to be found. It's all Christmas, and there's a few. They were already taking the Halloween stuff out to replace it with Christmas decor. Look, I don't get it. I'm not a marketing major. I went to a 2-year school for 3 years. I still don't have a degree, so I don't really have a leg to stand on. But the natural marketing in me says that it's a little early, but whatever.
I would concur.
You're not supporting our Christmas tree industry. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So you got to support the Christmas tree industry.
I will throw this out there, though. If you see one of the deputies out and about and he's got a pink badge on, we do honor Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we ordered some pink badges for everybody several years ago, and so they wear them through the month of October. So that's what that's about if you see one.
That's pretty cool. The sheriff's office I've seen has the pink badges. There is the domestic violence call. There's several themed things for that.
Yeah,
in
we've
the
got
office.
that, and we've got an autistic badge.
Which that one's really cool too if you haven't seen that one.
Or in support of autism.
Yeah, and they've got 2 of our employees have their child's name wrote on it. And I don't know, is there any other names on that car?
I think we've got 3 names on the car now, so I'm glad you brought that up. That's for any of our listeners that has a child or knows someone that's got autism. If you would like to reach out to the sheriff's office and have your son or daughter's signature put on that autism police car, we would love to do that for you.
If you're curious how that looks, there are some images, I think, on the sheriff's office page where we've done that before. You can check it out.
We would take their signature, make the decal, send it to us. We'll put it on the car, and glad to do it.
All right. Since that was a light headline of,
We're fortunate to have light in the way of news.
people always say Floyd's Mayberry, and then they listen to the podcast and they realize that there's a lot more that goes on.
But we'll have a true crime story for later. But now I think it's probably a good time to move into
You want to do sports or
sports.
events? Yeah, Mr. Sports.
We have to have an apology.
We do have an apology. We do not have Mr. Colton Marshall for our listeners that have tuned in.
There
to
go
hear
half
him.
our listeners right there.
Yeah,
Without
yeah.
Colton around, it's just going to collapse.
Apparently, we record too early. You can't miss the college game day picks at about 11:59. No, Colton wasn't able to be with us today. We're going to do our best to recap, but obviously we can't replace him. But we'll talk about sports because not just football. There's other sports that have kicked off for the fall. We can break that down, but we'll start with some football Friday night.
Absolutely.
Our Buffaloes played at Patrick County.
At Patrick County, because we're still on our away from home traveling spree that we're going through, but they played Patrick County.
We got that W.
Got another W. Floyd is still undefeated. Floyd County 21 to Patrick County 14 still at this point. That was an impressive game. The Buffs managed to score in 3 of the 4 quarters. Patrick County had an explosive second quarter and got all their points then. In the second quarter, it was tied up. And then Floyd came back and got the lead and held on to that to finish up the game. So all that worked out really well for Floyd.
Those are things that you want to see from your team. That, all right, you have a strong first half. We're talking about the high school level. Pro level is a little bit different as far as prep work, I think. But the high school level, as a coach, I'd be interested to hear in that game specifically, what was Coach Cromer's speech at halftime, right? Because at the high school level, I think it would be easy for kids to
That's
think,
where you need Colton.
Yeah, exactly. Take the foot off the pedal, right? But the coach saying, look, this game ain't over. And the second half showed it. Patrick County come out swinging. But our defense held them off.
Well, I mean, he talked about Sam Phillips before, and Sam Phillips had 118 yards rushing during the game, 2 touchdowns, completion rate of 33%. So he had another fantastic game.
That's a lot of rushing yards for a quarterback. Colton has talked about how mobile he is, and he's able to read the field, and if he's got nothing open, he'll make that decision. But you said 118?
118 yards
for
rushing.
a quarterback. I mean, most running backs don't break 100 yards.
That's what it says here. Of course, now we need Colton to have the definitive news.
Yeah, right.
And give us the real inside scoop of what's going on.
We are now 5-0, and this is the last of our away stretch. So it's at Martinsville, and it's a 7 o'clock game. We're going to try to stay undefeated, but that's the school that Colton had talked about. They've got some playmakers on that team that this is going to be a really good game, and he talked about how well Floyd has traveled this year as far as fans at the away games. It was Fort Chiswell. He said the Floyd fans were louder than the Fort Chiswell fans at home at Fort Chiswell. So let's hope that we also travel well to Martinsville because it sounds like it's going to be a tough matchup that we're going to need that 12th man on the field, otherwise known as the fans.
It's not just football that's been going on.
Okay.
The golf team has done really well.
They're entering playoffs, aren't they?
Yes, indeed. They are in the sub-regions, and they have won the sub-regions. Apparently, this was being played at James River at their facilities there, and they managed to pull up with a team score of 288, so that they have won the sub-region, and they're moving on from there.
That'd be, I think, a good chance to get, I don't know if he's listening or not, but if you are listening, Coach Dirk Davis, the golf team, we'd love to have you on and talk about the golf team.
I think we could probably arrange to get Dirk over here.
I believe so, yeah. He's got a lot to hang his hat on. He's taken some teams to state. He's got a lot of accolades under his name. I'd love to hear from him as playoffs are pushing.
Floyd has set itself out as a really top-caliber golf team, and they're consistently ranking well for the size of school that we have. They've really made a name for themselves at the state and the region.
And it's probably not a coincidence and more indicative of that our guys that play on the golf team have a fantastic course to practice on every day. Anybody that's played golf or enjoys the game of golf that's played around here, I mean, we have one of the nicest courses, I think, in Southwest Virginia. I know there's some really nice courses that are probably Primlin, first one that comes to my mind, but that's a completely different level. You're paying hundreds of dollars to play around versus a public course like Great Oaks. But in the scope, I mean, we've got a really, really nice course. It's well maintained. It's laid out well, and we're just blessed with that. And our students have that course to practice on every day. What else we got past golf?
Well, I know that cross country has gotten things rolling. That October 4th is the kickoff for one of the largest varsity competitions. It's down at Salem's Green Hill Park. My daughter, who ran track for a while, she went through that. So it's a huge event. They've got all kinds of teams show up down there, JV and varsity, and they both show up, and men and women's cross country. But that's happening today. So we won't have any reports on that. Hopefully we'll have a report on that next week, but that's going to be a big thing. And cross country, what Floyd County the past few years has been doing really well in their cross country and track teams.
We reported on it at the end of the season in the spring, early on in the podcast, but our cross country team went to state, didn't they?
Yeah, you go cross country, and then you go into indoor track season and an outdoor track season in the spring.
And it was outdoor track that went to state.
But I know that we've done well with cross countries in the past years as well.
Yeah,
we've got some really good competitors.
You can go into the old gym and see all the old team photos, but if you really were to compile a list of athletes that have been in this county over the years, you'd have a really impressive list. I mean, you really would. There's more than you would think, at least I would, more than you would imagine once you start stacking it. You've seen that in some of these alumni games. I don't know if any of y'all went to those.
I wonder if Chad's on that list somewhere. Isn't there something about throwing things in track, some disc throwing or something?
Here we
where
go.
Long arms
Here we go.
really give you an advantage.
Actually, I played basketball a couple of years, but
There you go.
to be honest with you, Eric, I think I was like 5'8" when I got my driver's license. So I grew a pretty good amount later in life.
You blossomed afterwards.
Another event here we can talk about. If you were listening to the podcast yesterday, we released a special edition episode with Mr. Darren. He's going to be running for Indian Valley Board of Supervisors. Go ahead, Chad.
Yeah, that's right. So we put the invite out to both Darren and Walter. So far, Darren's the only one that's responded and agreed to come on the podcast, and we conducted an interview with him. So if you haven't listened to that already, go back and check it out.
That's always good to hear from the candidates. You get a direct one-on-one with them because, everybody tries to get out there and knock on doors, and that works well for some people, not so well for others. But the trick is it's hard to hit all the doors in any jurisdiction. I know I've tried, but I can tell you that if you can get to hear what a candidate has to say. And so currently for Indian Valley, we got Darren Marshall, Walter Phelps, both vying for the supervisor seat. Both what they have is important, what they have to say, and important for the people of Indian Valley to hear about. So I hope you all listen to the special podcast listening to the interview with Mr. Marshall.
And we've reached out to Mr. Phillips and his campaign. We'd love to bring him on. We want to hear. We have not heard back, unless I'm wrong on that. I don't believe we've heard back from his camp yet, have we?
No.
So we'd love to get him on because we want to ask him those same questions. The same questions that we asked Darren in that interview apply just as much to Walter.
That's right.
I want to hear from his side.
And while only people in Indian Valley be voting on this, anything with the supervisors is important for the whole county.
Yeah.
Because there are 5 people that are representing the whole county and making the decisions that we often talk about. I mean, we managed to suffer through the various summaries that Chad does for us, and he is valiant for doing that. But no, seriously, we listen to what they have to say, and things go on, whether it's subdivision ordinance or hiring a new county administrator. These are the things that affect the people of the county most. I mean, we often will sit here and you'll hear people talking about what's happened at the national level about this or the state governor's campaign. And while that's important and that does affect us, none of it affects us nearly as much as what's happening in the local races.
When you talk about things that directly impact your life, that you can say tangibly affected your day-to-day life, it's local politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think everybody's got something in the mail last week or this week that validates that statement.
Oh,
which
yeah,
is
got
your
personal
taxes.
property taxes
Yeah.
out. That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a nice little reminder that your local government is still thinking of you.
If you haven't checked that interview out, I'd highly encourage you because Eric's right. Even if you don't live in Indian Valley, the topics that are discussed aren't just limited to the valley. They encompass the county as a whole.
That land division ordinance, I mean, it's going to affect us. It's not the most exciting thing to go through and read. It's not the most exciting thing to talk about. But I'll tell you right up front is that when that subdivision starts getting built next to where you live, you'll be pretty interested in it then.
Going through other events in the county.
We know that the ghost tours are starting today. They probably started last night. There may be some tonight, but certainly on the Fridays when you have the jamboree going on.
That has been very popular. I've never taken part of the ghost tour, but it looks like our production team is going tonight.
John Villedas is going to go and give us a live
Yeah,
report.
we'll have the report next week.
That's right. We'll see if he survives it. He may end up being scared to death, and so we'll have a memorial service next week.
That's right.
Just in time
Well,
for
we
Halloween.
couldn't do it without him, so you better live through it, John.
Make it through it, please.
Well, if you have to get Big Country Cockerman here, and spotting Bigfoot in the middle of the day like this, that's going to be difficult.
Yeah, what is it? It's 2:00. He probably hasn't even got up yet.
Yeah, he ain't even woke up yet. October 11th, this is Saturday from 10 to 2. Floyd Church of God's having a harvest festival presented by the Hearts and Hands Women Ministry. They're going to be doing hot dogs, desserts, drinks, and sides, live music, craft, and other direct sale vendors. Having a silent auction, and all the money that's raised will go to adopt families at Christmas. Again, that's Saturday, October 11th at 10 a.m. and the Floyd Church of God. Who else has got an event?
So moving on, we can't forget about the Fall Festival out at Turner Farms.
Speaking of fall festivals, right? We didn't mention that one last week, and I felt terrible because, those are all some Floyd locals here, and they work hard on that place out there. They've got a corn maze, tractor rides, live music. There's the Vittle Wagon, which we have talked about before, but man, they really got it all out there. If you haven't checked it out, you need to.
Yeah, there are fall festivities. It shows here October 4th and 5th, fall festivities from 10 to 6, the October 10th through the 12th. They have a flashlight maze. I assume that's at the corn maze.
Yeah.
From 10 to 9. And then October 17th to 19th, same thing, flashlight maze from 10 to 9. So go check that out.
Yeah, that's a lot coming up. The week after that, we'll report on this twice, but I think they're calling it Oktoberfest at Deer Park Farm. What you got on that one coming up?
Just what I had saw on Facebook. There's an Oktoberfest at Deer Park Farm. It looks like that is October 18th from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Saturday, October 11th, next Saturday, you've got at the Floyd Country Store the Saturday Old Time Dance with the New River Wranglers. Sounds like a local group, but this is a ticketed event. I know we talked about music. We were going to scale it back a little bit and just kind of hit on the...
Because there's so much music.
It is.
Yeah.
Henry Hart and the Mudcats at the breweries about every week. But for the sake of time, we're going to stick to the ones that stand out or are special. And this one is a ticketed event. Join us at the Floyd Country Store for a Saturday Old Time Dance with the New River Wranglers, Saturday, October 11th at 7 p.m. And tickets are $12 for that one. And that's coming up again Saturday, October 11th. What do you got for us,
I got
Eric?
a few other things in here. It's kind of scattered throughout, but I saw that we have on Sunday, the 12th, at Dogtown is open mic night as we have. It's from 4:30 to 8. That can be interesting. It can be terrifying. It can be a little bit of both, but it's always entertaining.
Back in the day, I used to go up there, do a little picking, a little grinning, a little singing at open mic night, eat some pizza. It was a really fun time. It was really low key.
Yeah, any kind of open mic karaoke sort of thing, that's going to be a wild time.
Anybody that knows Ricky Trail, he's a local resident.
Oh, Ricky, yep.
Ricky would get up there and he would recite poetry, but he would also sing songs a cappella. And Ricky put everything he had into it
I'm sure he's still doing it.
with a little bit of PBR to give
I'm
him
sure
some
he's still at
encouragement.
it.
I haven't saw him walking town in forever.
Oh, yeah, he's still, yeah.
Is he still
Yeah.
walking
Yeah,
town?
You're just on the wrong...
I guess maybe my lunch schedule and his walking are
Yeah,
just
your
off
schedule's
kilter
just
a
off.
little bit.
You know the thing about old Ricky, it doesn't matter if it's blowing snow and negative 10 degrees or it's 100 degrees outside and balmy.
He's still out there.
He is out there
The man
walking.
Getting that
is
exercise.
committed.
Saturday, October 11th, also, I thought this was pretty neat. I saw there's going to be a farm consignment auction hosted by the Circle T Auctions, which I believe is a local company. They're doing it out at 1285 Moore Road. And it is a farm consignment auction. So if you have farm equipment that you would like to enter in this auction to be sold off, you can reach out to Circle T Auctions at 540-392-7944. It says the annual fall farm consignment auction, Route 615, Christiansburg Pike Road, about 2.5 miles from town limits. And it says we will continue to accept consignments until Friday, October 10th at 5:30 p.m. So if you got farm equipment you want to get rid of, this is probably your best.
Man, he
chance.
sells a little bit of everything, too.
Really?
I mean,
Yeah.
I was at the last one. As a matter of fact, he sold some vehicles for the sheriff's office at the last consignment auction, but he sells a little bit of everything from trucks to four-wheelers to tractor equipment to you name it, man. It's a big auction, and there's a lot of people that goes. So if that's something that you're looking for, if there's a piece of equipment or even a vehicle,
Yeah.
you should check it out.
That is on Saturday. What else you got for us? Anything on?
going through and finding a few things that are a little out of the ordinary. There's the Shape Note Singing on Monday the 13th at the Presbyterian Church. That's apparently from 6:30 to 8:30. Shape Note is an American tradition of unaccompanied harmony singing. So that's a new one for me.
At the Presbyterian Church.
And that's free. So that's
yeah.
at the Presbyterian Church. And then West African drum class at the Eco Village on Monday the 13th from 6 to 7 p.m. Again, not your average sort of thing, but West African drum class. Who would have thought?
I mean, I hope it's a great turnout, but that just seems like a really niche.
Why don't you go out and you report live for us there?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'd be the one too.
I've got South African drums, or I'd go.
Darn it.
Daggone it.
The way that those things conflict, it just never works out right.
Yeah.
Something about the way they're threaded. It just.
Hey, I'll tell y'all, this one I thought looked really cool. Also on Saturday from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Blue Ridge Story Space, which is 251 Parkway Lane, just outside of town. They are hosting the Blue Ridge Story Space. In the theme, I should have read the directions. So I got to looking at this and I thought, okay, Story
What's at the Gym
Space.
Plug Center, right?
Yeah, the picture shows a central stage, people making a horseshoe crowd around it. Okay, this is interesting to me, but I still don't really have a clue what this is. But if you go to the Blue Ridge Story Space Facebook, they say that it says the Blue Ridge Story Space is about folks who love telling and listening to stories. Put your name in the hat to tell a 5 to 7 minute story.
Yep.
Join us on the second Saturday of every month from 5:30 to 7 p.m. at the Junebug Center. Event is free.
I've
And
been
so
to
I
those.
guess every time they
Yeah.
do, you've been?
I've been to one of those.
Oh, well, go ahead.
They're fun. I mean, if you have a story, I mean, it doesn't have to be a true story. It can be a made-up story.
Yeah.
It's just entertainment for 5 minutes and 10 minutes. Get up there and weave your story and finish it up.
Really? There's no limitations.
There's no limitations on it. Just try to make it interesting. That's all you can do.
I love a good story.
Yeah, and you have no idea what you're going to hear a story on.
That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
that's pretty cool.
Probably had a crowd of maybe 50 people or so, and good time.
I will say this: we do have one more thing to remind everybody on, and that's the chili cook-off.
Oh, when's that coming up?
Standing here with my hat in my hand, humbly giving the reins off to Lucas Graham, our internal chili competition winner. His recipe will be representing the sheriff's office, and everybody liked his chili the best. His recipe won, and we'll all be getting behind Lucas and helping out where we
And
can
this
in
is the
internet
first time that the
competition.
sheriff's offices, at least in recent memory, that participated in the chili cook-off against the seasoned veterans of the fire department and the rescue squads.
Chad made the decision to say, look, we're going to have an internal competition to kind of figure out who, and I wasn't expecting it because the people within the department who smoke meat and grill and do all this stuff is a hobby. I mean, we have several, so I had absolutely no expectations that mine was even going to be near the forefront. But either way, we ended up having several different entries, and they all tasted completely different. The chili cook-off is hosted by the Rotary Club.
The Rotary Club.
That's right.
This year it will be out at Citizens.
Citizens.
In the past few years, it's been at Linebury Park. It'll be out at Citizens this year.
Come check it out. And I think it's if you want to come try the different chilies, you get a small bowl for like $1, something very affordable.
Yeah, they have the People's Choice Award that you can buy a bowl of chili for $1 and vote on it. I believe it's from 4:30 to 6, somewhere around that time frame. They're going to have food trucks there. Should be a good time for
I guess
everybody.
if you don't like the chili.
If you don't like the chili, there's other things for you to eat. I'm excited, man. Even though I finished second in the competition internally, I hope we don't finish second out there because that's what matters.
I ain't saying this just because we're recording.
Yeah.
Yours was my favorite pick anyway. He's got a little, I can't divulge the secret, but he got me wanting to try it next
Yeah,
time.
we might have to kind of share
little
recipes a little bit. Yeah.
But yeah, come check it out because all the proceeds go to the local first responders, right?
That's right.
I don't know if it's split up evenly or how it works, but I know the proceeds go to the sheriff's office, the EMS squad, and the fire department. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
Excellent.
I don't know that this is necessarily events, news, or whatever. I do want to throw this out here because I've seen at least a lot of chatter on Facebook about these lanternflies.
Lanternflies, the scourge of the South.
And they are officially here in Floyd.
And if we were doing Facebook patrol, we find that they've been spotted in Czech and Indian Valley, and I'm not sure if probably other places in between.
I wanted a definitive, informative answer on why these are so bad. To hear these people talk about them like, oh my gosh, they're in Floyd now, they're in Christiansburg. If you see them, kill them. Well, why? So what do you do these days when you don't know something? It used to be you Google it. Now you chat GPT it. So Professor Chat GPT has told me that the reason that these spotted lanternflies are a problem, that they plant sap feeders and they weaken plants. They pierce the trunk, stems, and vines, and they suck out all the sap in these plants. Repeated feeding stresses the plants, and it can cause them to die early. It says they may attack important plants, love to feed on grapevines, fruit trees, ornamentals, and many hardwoods. It makes them a real economic threat to the vineyards and orchards. They produce a natural honeydew that promotes like a sooty mold, I guess, that ruins the plant. So essentially, they're not harmful to people. They don't bite, they don't sting, they don't cause any issue to people, but plants, they absolutely wreak havoc on. And it doesn't seem like there's any benefit to them.
Is that your secret ingredient? Is that what
Gives
you're
it
trying
that
to tell
little
us?
extra crunch.
That little extra crunch, that little extra cilantro-like spice.
Leave it to a lawyer to figure that out, to put two and two together.
I think one thing that's problematic with that, and I don't know anything about these bugs, but it's hard enough to grow a fruit tree in Floyd. And now you're just throwing one more problem in the mix.
Because around here, you can experience all 4 seasons in the same day.
Yeah.
You know, and it is hard to grow those, especially things that need maybe a little more tropical
Yeah,
environment.
peaches are, they're harder to grow in this area. And now you're looking at having to fight off a bug as well as everything else.
I've seen a lot of buzz on it on social media. It seemed like people were really invested in that. Moving on, though, as far as events, do you guys have anything else?
The only thing I've got is if Eddie could work on getting us some parking spaces out here. It's
We talked about recording on Arts and Crafts Festival Day.
Arts and Crafts Festival Day with the farmers market going.
It was a
in the town
madhouse.
is scarce to none.
Yeah, that comes with the territory. I'm just glad that it's been busy. It's always busy at the Arts and Crafts. Anybody that's ever been up there, it's always busy. Even on rainy days, it's always
and it's
busy
like
up there.
I think it's compressed this year into one day.
Yeah, they packed it all in.
Picking on Eddie, though, I'm very grateful that he's allowed us this spot to
Here we are
come
at
and
the Safe
record.
Surfing Studios,
Yeah.
and Safe Surfing Plaza.
International headquarters.
Yeah, and he's the one that reached out to us because he liked what we were doing, and he said, look, you guys need a legitimate space to be able to record.
Yeah.
And so now we appreciate the heck out of it.
And we'd love to have more sponsors.
Yeah, if you are a local business here in Floyd and you're wanting to advertise, there's a reach. We definitely have a reach here that we can talk shops. Give us a call if you're looking to advertise your business or product here on the podcast.
When we move into the true crime
Time
segment?
for true crime.
Yeah, give me a true crime.
Well, we do have true crime segment, and this one's a golden oldie, and I thought we'd bring this one up because this one is a case involving what was at the time noted as Special Officer Chad Harris, the Floyd County Sheriff's Officer working in the task force with the Virginia State Police. Chad, do you remember Mr. Stephen Allen Haney?
Slightly. We talked a little bit prior to recording, and while I don't remember him specifically, I do remember the location. Russell Cruz, who's since passed on, he had built some cabins out on Franklin Pike, him and his wife, and they had rented these cabins out kind of on the weekend and things. And I believe he was maybe renting to somebody a little longer term, and they decided to turn his cabin into a
Pharmaceutical production.
right.
This is kind of a cautionary tale for landlords. Mr. Haney, along with his associates, Randall Saul, Sandy Saul, and Dwight Shoemate, back in November of 2014, rented a cabin out on Franklin Pike Road. They certainly have been redone extensively because at the time there were just a couple of simple brown cabins.
Yeah, they were a one room, maybe a bathroom and a bed, and that's about all it consisted of.
And most importantly, out back there was a burn area, and that was important to Mr. Haney and his compatriots because on November 14th, 2014, the state police got the report of some suspicious burn activity going on out there, and sure enough, they go out there, and apparently Mr. Harris did at the time as well, and found there were several in this burn area, burn barrel in the back, there were the remains of several one-pot meth labs, which if people that are in the know, like basically a 2-liter plastic bottle that was used for cooking meth. And various chemicals were put in that. And after the meth was produced and the various items were taken out of that to get the meth, and it was poured off and filtered out, etc., then the bottle and the chemicals inside it had to be disposed of. And that was one of the problems in one-pot local meth production, was getting rid of the evidence. And so they tried to burn it, which apparently didn't work out very well. There was a fair bit of evidence found in the burn pot, and that was by Trooper Branch with the Virginia State Police, and Trooper McClanahan were both responded to that and found found Mr. Haney and some of the others desperately attempting to try to burn the evidence when they arrived. So the troopers prevented that. The task force managed to go ahead and get a search warrant, and the search warrant found that not only was the remains of production going on in the backyard, there was more going on inside. And I believe I've gotten the notes here and looking at the old case, there was like 297 grams of meth seized on that day.
So with your one pot meth lab, you would have a liquid material and you could send that off to the lab at the time. You would pull that out, strain that off, take your sample, send it to the lab, and then they would take weight off of that liquid. And so that's where you get those high numbers of 200 and some grams.
Right, it really wasn't all usable, apparently.
Correct. Yeah. A lot of times you would take that liquid and then you would turn it into a solid, which in form would make your methamphetamine that most people are familiar with seeing, in a powdered form. But a lot of times when we would find these one-pot meth labs, you would pull off the liquid basically from those labs and you would submit those to be tested as well.
Yes, apparently when the search warrant was being served at the time, Mr. Haney woke up, saw that the officers were arriving, and there was a shaken bottle that was inside, and he just poured it out on the floor of the cabin.
Yeah, I'd forgot about that. That's right. And we had talked prior to the show, what's explosive with a meth lab basically is your lithium. I mean, you're taking a battery and you're stripping the lithium out of it. And if any form of water were to touch that lithium, then you're going to have a small explosion. And so it's extremely flammable. It's not a good thing to be pouring out in somebody else's floor. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this. I remember probably as early as even sooner than a decade ago, but it seemed like at least every week there was a news report. There's a meth lab bust, not just in Floyd, but just Southwest Virginia in general, I think. But then now you don't necessarily hear about labs being busted up. Is there a definite reason to that? What has the sheriff's office seen as far as a shift in trends?
Most everybody knows if you go in to buy a box of pseudoephedrine from your local CVS, you have to sign your signature, show your driver's license, and a lot of that's from these one-pot labs. That's what caused this. And so they were keeping, these pharmaceutical companies were having to report these logs of people buying Sudafed, which in turn went to a website that law enforcement had access to. So I could go online and say, okay, well, Lucas here, he's buying his allotted 9 grams a month or whatever. And from there, we would start building our case based off of those numbers, as well as you had a lot of hardware stores. You had to have things like tubing and muriatic acid and different things of that nature. And your owners of your hardware stores like C.W. Harmon's and Wills Ridge, they didn't like this type of drug activity or methamphetamine being made in their neighborhood. So they were very quick to call and say, hey, listen, old such and such just come in and bought some muriatic acid and some more tubing. And so, you put all that together on an affidavit, and before you know it, you had a search warrant in hand for the residence. With all of that said, it would be easier for somebody wanting to get into either selling meth or using meth. It's easier for them to go buy a gram that basically comes from Mexico from someone, because you run a less risk of getting caught with all of the other things that it took to make the one pot.
They're getting a possession charge versus a distribution in making it. Comes with a lot more extra charges with that. Probably safer too. They don't have to worry about having an active lab.
Yeah, because it ain't like it's a one-stop shop. You can't just go and get all your materials to cook meth in one place. You're going to have to go to 2 or 3 places to get all your materials needed to cook. And then you run the risk of not only that, getting caught, even if you haven't made the meth yet. If you're caught with 2 precursors, that was a felony. Yeah. And it still is. So, if you've got lithium batteries and pseudoephedrine, well, that's a felony.
This one, there were 4 one-pots found. 1 was active. The 3 were found in the burn pile. And it was Basically, it sounded like the group couldn't wait to turn on each other as much as they possibly could. Yeah, well, you're going to watch who your friends are when you're cooking meth, apparently. And Mr. Shoemate and Miss Saul basically said Haney had given him $40 to go buy Sudafed, which is, some of you may or may not know, but pseudoephedrine is one of the primary ingredients that you need for all that. So they turned on him and provided evidence, and it turned out Mr. Haney was kind of the ringleader of all this. He had a criminal history going back to 1990 in Michigan. Not exactly sure how he ended up in Floyd. That was never fully explained, although apparently he did his level best to try to dodge and weave out of this. Apparently he went down to Roanoke County and tried to turn evidence on as many people as he could possibly do while he was waiting to finally get sentenced in Floyd. Unfortunately, that did not work out well as far as the strategy, because at the time that was dealing with Judge Long, and Judge Long saw this, like, at 4 one-pots cooking up here. He ruined that cabin by pouring that stuff all over the floor. And he was charged with a conspiracy to manufacture methamphetamine because he was kind of organizing the cook, and he was charged with the manufacturing. He got sentenced to 25 years in the penitentiary with 15 suspended, so he had 10 to pull, and put on 15 years probation after that. Since then, apparently, this happened in 2014, so he's finished up his time, and apparently when he was released, he hightailed it back to Michigan, where apparently he has continued to lead the life that he knows best. So we're expecting another visit from him for a probation violation before too long.
Oh, wow. Well, some people never learn, I guess. One thing about the drug work that I always kind of found rewarding was years down the road when these people that I had charged over different things, they would come up to me later on and they would thank you like, hey, man, I appreciate what you've done. You kind of got me back on the straight and narrow. And so, that was one thing that was rewarding about drug work. It wasn't that we were out trying to ruin lives. You were legitimately trying to help people, and you saw that reward later down the road from people. They didn't really realize it at the time, but, oftentimes you were helping them more than you were hurting them.
Yeah. I'd have to say I've seen that a lot over the years. While some people felt that Judge Long was harsh in some of his dealings, and he was, particularly for people that manufactured or distributed the drugs. But a number of those people have come back and managed to get free of the drugs and made something more important out of their lives and been able to do something that saved them. And it was, in fact, Judge Long who did all these harsh sentences that started the drug court in Floyd County.
I was literally about to say, I think that speaks on the drug court, because these people, they get wrapped in this, lack of a better term, and it's a revolving door, right? Maybe that's just the people they're surrounded with in their lives. It's a product of where they're at. But if they get involved with that kind of thing, and then they get charged with something, instead of just getting dumped out of the jail door and saying, all right, you're free, and they have nowhere to go except for where they were at before they got locked up. And now we're introducing program. I should say introducing, because the drug court's been around for a while.
It has been around for a bit. Yeah.
There's programs. You can lead the horse to water. You can't make it drink, but let's help the horse get to water if he wants to drink.
Well, and we've got more recovery programs popping up in the county. We just recently had one get started here in town. We've got one that's getting started down on Greasy Creek, and that's all good, because I can tell you from having worked in it, and I'm sure Chad's the same way, seeing people going through this, is that rehab from drugs is very difficult. It's not just somebody going through once. Sometimes it takes multiple times, and it takes support from family, support from friends, and support from the community. We are all better off from having people get past that and get back into this. And a number of those people that have gotten past it and beaten that are now giving back and working in these recovery centers.
And the drug court's a multi-phase program, isn't it, Chad? I don't know. You have to dive into what all the parameters and what the restrictions are for each phase. But the goal of it being is that leash gets a little bit less and less tight in each phase, to the point that when you're released, you've successfully completed the program. I don't think it would be fair to say that addiction will never be something that you struggle with, but you've shown to yourself and you've shown to the court that you've graduated past this point.
And I think we got another graduation coming up in the next month. There's more people that are making it through all right.
You bringing those old drug stories up, I don't know, it takes me back, man. Gosh, I could tell so many stories of the things that we used to do with the state police drug task force, and we covered this area and Christiansburg and Blacksburg, and I mean, we were all over the place, and it just, some of the things that happened were just comical at times. And working undercover, I can remember there was times I would have a CI and we were going to buy drugs, and we would pick up somebody to, he'd get in the car and be like, all right, drive. And so we'd be driving through Christiansburg or somewhere, and we'd have this drug dealer in the truck with me, and I just remember like physically just praying like, God, please don't let somebody that knows me pull up beside me at the stoplight and see me in the vehicle with these two, because they are so going to judge me right now.
I'm assuming, I guess at this point you could probably talk about it, but did that ever happen where your cover was blown, for lack of a better term?
No.
You ever run into anybody new where you kind of had to, shut up?
I don't recall that ever happening, but you certainly thought about it a lot,
Oh, yeah.
And plus, you're a police officer. What's one thing you see a police officer with? A firearm, right?
Right.
You never see a deputy out here walk around without a gun on his side.
But
when you were working undercover, you didn't have a firearm. It was, you relied on a wire that was, hooked to your body, and you were praying somebody didn't try to search you. And there was some times, man, it was. But that's all for another episode, man.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good episode. What do y'all think?
Get the old crew together for that.
Yeah. People love the true crime, but I think it's a good episode. That was good for Chad to reminisce on.
Yeah, it was.
Well, I was thinking back the day when he had a beard that went like halfway down his belly.
Yeah, yeah.
That might be another story.
I would give Walter Phillips a run for his money almost, I believe.
You got to lean into the undercover part.
Yeah. So you got to look the part, man.
Yeah. That should take care of it this week, I think.
Yes,
got
indeed.
some
That's all I got.
buffaloes. We got some true crime.
Yep.
Got some job openings. We've covered everything there was in Floyd this week.
Tyson's ready to wrap it up and take a nap.
Did you say Tyson or Titus?
Tyson. Tyson is the courthouse dog.
He looks ready for he's done. When are these humans going to shut up? We appreciate the heck out of all of our listeners. If you haven't done it already, if you're a new listener, just haven't done it yet, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon. I saw for those that still use or have Amazon Music. We're on that one. We're on iHeart. If it's a place that has podcasts, we're on it.
And thanks to our production team. And remember that for John Valetis and Big Country Chronicle, and we all blame Chad.
Yeah. You'll find that out later in that point. If you're watching on YouTube, I think a lot of our listeners use YouTube to listen because when we talk about events, we try to put the flyers that correlate with that in the YouTube. And that all goes back to our production team, Mr. John X. He takes care of that for us. We appreciate him. But yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check it out. And once again, thanks to Eddie Worth and Safe Surfing Foundation as our sponsor here at the Safe Surfing Studios. We thank you guys so much for that and all you do for us. That'll wrap it up for this week. So without further ado, I just want to remind you to take care of yourselves and take care of the ones you love. Till next week.